Hi everyone, these are the Club Night cards for October 2020. I think they're vibrant and great and they're really cool in real life. So this is just a reminder, if you haven't already liked my YouTube channel or Facebook page, please do. Also, if you subscribe and comment on videos, it lets YouTube and Facebook know that you think this content is worth other people being interested in. So the lighting again is still a little harsh, but with the new setup in the studio, hopefully we'll be able to get through that. But these are all fun things that we've done before. So I cut out 4 by 5 1/4 sheets of the Bloom with Grace paper, the stripes and the sunflowers. And then on the Cricut, I think I used Flower Market and I might have been art booking as well. I cut an oak leaf, a maple leaf, the 2 berry strands. I kind of stretched those a little, and then there's kind of a spiky, let's call it evergreen in brown, and then another evergreen kind of branch in the tan. You'll need some foam adhesive, some other glue. You'll need a dry embossing stylus, your cutter, and I also have some sequins and some sort of thread or ribbon. So I cut the base for these at 4 1/4 by 11 so that they're a top fold, and then you'll see me here get out the cutter again because I realized that I forgot to cut their center square out. Now we're making a frame, so I line up the left edge of the paper with the 1-inch mark that's to the left of my cutting line, and according to many people I use my cutter upside down, so however works for you, but you're going to line one side up with the 1 inch, and then you're going to cut from 1 inch down from the top, 1 inch up from the bottom. And if you were just flipping these over into the same paper, they would fit perfectly, but since we're using opposite paper because I want to have that sunflower paper on both cards, you'll see the card on the left ends up having a wee bit of a embellishment opportunity, I'll call it. So now I'm just inking the edges up with the fern ink, and I didn't want to use a sponge. I didn't want to drag it on it. I just wanted to give the edge some interest, almost like a faux matting situation. And then with the sangria color that matches the Bloom with Grace, I'm going to edge this inner piece. My cutter, when I go down with it, is a little dull, and so it leaves some paper, so I just filed those off. Couldn't think of the name of that. So now, not that you know this, but I go to adhere that, and we had contractors come. So I had left the video running, so I cut all that out. And so now we're starting again. And we're going to adhere the frame of the sunflowers down. And then you can decide if you have an embellishment opportunity, maybe you cut it exactly right. I decided that I would leave mine at the bottom because I thought that I could fill that space more easily. And we're going to glue the second frame on, and then the sunflowers in there, and I think you'll see that I turn this around because I really knew that my upper left corner was going to be covered with the leaves in that. So those rings on the back side of my VersaMat are, if you put a hot bowl down on the back side of your VersaMat, it kind of melts that foam a little bit. So, cautionary tale. And you would think, because I'm thinking this is like my 4th VersaMat that I've had in going on 15 years, but we still don't learn or forget. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking ink and I'm just going to sponge some color on the fern leaves. And it's just kind of random. They end up being dark. I kind of wanted them more vibrant. That's how I had envisioned it. But then when they were done, I really felt that this was a more representative, unfortunately, of fall colors. When they're on the tree, they're more vibrant. Once they hit the ground, they definitely get that brown tone to them. So, and then this is the flat, I'll call it white pine just for the sake of argument, on the toffee, or it could have been desert sand cardstock that I cut it out. I just use scraps to cut, so whatever's there is what we get, and it's a good way to use up scraps for the Cricut. And I love cutting into a new sheet of paper, so I save that for me if I can. Let the Cricut cut the small pieces. So then you just kind of go around and add your colors, the fern, the sangria, there's toffee, and I believe, I'm going to have the wrong name of the ink. I might come up with it here in a minute. Saddle, maybe. I don't know. But it's a reddish brown. It's a warm brown. And then I'm just adding some depth into the pine sprig, and then the sprig that will have the sequins on it, and just kind of give them some color. And you saw that with those leaves, I really just wadded them up in my hand and then added more ink to kind of highlight some of the creases. So the oak leaf has a straight edge crease that I wish wasn't there. So if you push it down into like a cup of your hand first before you crinkle it, you can typically avoid some of those straighter folds. And then I just took from the October stamp of the month, the You're the Best sentiment in fern, stamp that down, and then I'm going to make banner ends here on the edges of these. And I don't know why, but I find that I do better if I can cut from the bottom in instead of, you know, moving my scissors top bottom. I tend to line up more accurately if I flip the paper over. So you can cut your banner ends however you want. Next, I think I take the dry embossing stylus, and you can't really see, I have had feedback of, we need to do that where it's not right under the camera, but the best way to do it is having your stylus at a 90-degree sharp angle to your paper. And I'm just dragging it from the tip in towards the center vein, and it curls it up just a little bit. It's more so on those pine than they were on the first ones that are flatter, and I think that's just a surface area thing. And then I'm just kind of dotting the berry branches, because I believe just to give it a little interest and so it's not flat. I've said this before, that if you crinkle something or roll something, it tends to stay non-flat, which is my goal, unless you get it on an iron or truly, you know, press it for a long time. And the goal here is to add interest and depth. So I'm just sorting out some sequins so that they're all the same sheen of gold, because there's multiple shades in there. And now I'm just opening up the end of my glue, and I love this little applicator. I just put the white glue in it, and I use art glitter glue. A friend gave us a bottle when we were at a scrapbooking retreat at her house actually, and I fell in love with it. It's a great strong adhesive glue. It dries clear, it cleans up easy. I just really like it. So, and then I'm just putting my sequins down on those glue dots. And I did turn my VersaMat over just because if it's on the foam and you get glue, the glue will stay on the foam, just like if you put a hot bowl down, you will see a ring on your foam side. But the hard plastic side is more forgiving. So here is just some thick string that I bought years and years and years ago at, I think Big Lots had them, and there was green and 2 shades of blue all on the card, and there was tons of it, and I just really thought this color green was perfect. It looked just like fern. So now I took some of the adhesive runner, and I'm just wrapping it around the knot, or trying to. My first knot was not nearly as successful with that as my second knot, so I just used the corner of the VersaMat to hold it down. And then I'm just popping the edges of the sentiments. So I'm just putting foam tape on there to pop them up. And here you can kind of see where the peaks of the leaf are, so I just add some glue there. And then you're just gonna play around and fill in with your branches of what looks good, what placement's gonna work for you or not work for you, and just have fun with it. So I really like how these cards turned out. I think you could have added a shimmer brush effect, gone around on all of the excuse me, on all of the sunflowers and just added a wee bit of shimmer brush, and it would have been great. So lots of options here. And now I'm taking a glue dot, because I had been so unsuccessful with wrapping and I'm just pinching it around the knot now, and that'll definitely help it adhere. And then I'm just using the end of my dry embossing stylus to poke it in, and I'll end up playing, I think, with that later to give it a more random look, because you know, it's kind of like the windswept hair look that you spend 20 minutes on versus, you know, actually going for a ride in a convertible and you come out with that same look in 2 minutes. So wrapping the knot on that one, and it'll be ready to go. Now just again having fun deciding how to place those things, and my small pine branches got misplaced while I was assembling these, and like I said earlier, we had contractors in the house. Things have really been topsy-turvy over here. It's all coming together, it's all good, but I believe on the final cards you'll see that I added those pine branches, but in this demonstration they were not out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. So, and you can apply your sentiments and your little things however you want. Now I'm going to stamp, second generation stamp, with rock and roll technique, my favorite leaf. I don't know what stamp set that came on, but it's kind of a solid leafy branch. Oh, there, look, see, I did find my pine boughs, so I'm going to go ahead and add those. Yay! And it just gives it some nice interest. And again, I love those reverse clip tweezers because they just, it's having an extra hand. So, and I trimmed that down just so that it would slip in better. So for doing a rock and roll technique, I line up my ink colors from left to right, lightest to darkest. And I start and ink it all up in the lightest color, and then kind of do a little bit of the center along the edge, and then roll it in the darker color. And you can do as many colors as you like. 3 just kind of works for me. So on the envelopes you can see, because it's first generation and it's brighter, but in real life that inside looks pretty good too. There's a lot of color in there. So I really like how these turned out. I look forward to seeing how you create yours. I hope you have a great day. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I would appreciate that. And I will talk to you ladies soon. Looking forward to it.